We zijn hier in Brussel op een event voor Assassin's Creed Revelations. Bij mij staat Falko. Falko, what's your job with Ubisoft? What's your doing on Assassin's Creed Revelations?
I'm the mission design director of Assassin's Creed Revelations.
Cool. The biggest city so far you've created in the Assassin's Creed saga has been Rome. How does Rome compare to Constantinople?
Constantinople is actually slightly smaller in terms of exact size, but Rome had a lot of open space, and Constantinople is entirely urban, and its urban area is much bigger than Rome. So effectively, the amount of gameplay space is actually a bit larger. So they're roughly equivalent in terms of the games of Brotherhood versus Revelations. Is roughly the same size in terms of how much time the player will be spending in the game.
Okay. Constantinople is not the only place we get to visit, so the story starts with Masyaf. Are there other places as well we can go to?
Sure, we've got one city that's in the region of Cappadocia, which is a very cool region in Turkey. What we've done is we've inspired ourselves from the cities that are the ancient cities that are found there. And we've created our own city there. So I don't want to give too much away because it's a very, very visually exciting city. I want the player to be surprised.
Awesome. Can we travel freely in between those cities, or are they really mission-based?
The Cappadocia city, you have to wait until you get to it in the story. But then once you finish the story, you can travel back to it and wander about. It's definitely big enough for free roaming and that kind of thing.
Why Constantinople?
Well, we chose Constantinople for a variety of reasons. One of them being that Ezio actually went to Constantinople in our storyline of his life. But then also because Constantinople is actually a really exciting city in that time period that not a lot of Westerners know about. It's actually, I would say, just as important to world events as a city like Florence would be. So we thought it would be really fun to go and see that city and to learn about the Ottomans and the Ottoman Empire and the Sultans. And Constantinople is kind of in a golden age, or about to get into a golden age. So it's a hugely exciting city to visit. So that's why we decided to go there. There's so much to tell about that place. It's also a perfect place for an Assassin's Creed, really.
Indeed it is. During the presentation you told us that the Templars in Constantinople are the ancient Byzantines who were driven out by the Ottomans, the current Turks. How does it play out regarding the story? Do the Ottomans back up Ezio against his struggle?
Actually, yes. That's what's really cool about Constantinople, is that the Ottomans have a tolerant relationship with the assassins. And so when you're wandering around the city, you have two types of enemies, as it were. One is represented by orange dots, and those are the Ottomans. And the Ottomans will pretty much ignore you unless you do something bad in front of them. They're sort of like the police. If you kill somebody in front of them, then they'll come and try and beat you up. But if you're just walking around, they're not going to do anything about you. However, the Byzantines will attack you on sight. So you have to kind of, be very wary of their presence. That said, if there's Byzantines and the Ottomans see the Byzantines, the Ottomans will attack the Byzantines on sight because, they want to get rid of the Byzantines as much as possible. So what you can do is, if you're being attacked by Byzantines, you can start running away and head towards an Ottoman patrol, and the Ottomans will take care of them for you. And the Ottomans are pretty tough, so if you get into a fight with them, you're going to regret it.
Okay, perhaps another story question. It's no longer a secret that this one will introduce a new love interest for Ezio. Will he finally find peace?
You'll have to play the game to find out, I guess. It's hard to talk about the love interest without giving anything away because it's something that we develop over the course of the entire story. It was really exciting for us to do that because it's very rare in a game that you can have then you can have a really good character development, and then a relationship develop between the two players. I mean, a lot of games have done it as well, but in Assassin's Creed we didn't really push that as far as we could. Now we're able to do that, and it's a very, very nice story. It's really fun, and you play it, through missions, and she kind of toys with you a bit, makes you do some things that are, romantic, despite Ezio being not necessarily a romantic guy. He's a ladies' man, but I don't know if Ezio's ever been really in love before, so we'll see how that all pans out.
He's been really portrayed as a playboy.
Yeah.
So Ezio is well in his 50s right now, so he's probably less agile as he was in his prime during Assassin's Creed 2. How does this play out gameplay-wise?
I actually don't think Ezio is in any way less agile, less deadly. In fact, he's more deadly. The way I always think of Ezio is Ezio's kind of the old grizzled Marine that you see in a lot of American B movies. Where you have Predator or something like that. That's not a B movie. That's actually a pretty good movie. But the idea is that these soldiers, when they age, they don't necessarily become weaker. They just become smarter, and they're just as tough and just as scary, and probably maybe even more scary because you end up underestimating them. Ezio can climb just as fast, and in fact, with the hook blade, he can climb faster. He can jump further. He can use the zip lines to move faster. He has a whole lot of new moves in order to kill people more effectively. So the gameplay isn't the gamer isn't punished by Ezio's age now. He's definitely gonna feel that Ezio's as badass as ever, if not more.
Awesome. During the presentation, during loading sequence, we get small pop-ups, small clues about how we have to play the game, and I saw something about main attacks, primary attacks, and secondary attacks. Something new, I guess. What's the secondary attack? What's it for?
Well, actually, secondary attacks have always existed in previous Assassins, but they were a bit tough to access, and so I'd say a huge portion of the players didn't even know they existed. So what we did was we switched the buttons around a bit. The Eagle Sense button is now on the joystick, and the top button, the triangle button on the PS3, and the A button on, I think, anyway, the top button on the Xbox accesses the secondary weapon. We also now have 2 weapon wheels, so you can choose what your main weapon is going to be and your secondary weapon is going to be. And now in combat, you can use those 2 buttons in order to shoot someone with one button, and then you use your knife with the other. So it just allows a player a little more variety in their combat. One of the main reasons we've done that is because we've also introduced a new secondary weapon, and that's the bombs. And so in order to have the bombs be very accessible, this was what we did as well. And the bombs are a very flexible tool for the player. It can be used for so many different things to enhance their navigation, the stealth ability, the combat, the crowd manipulation as well. We have hundreds of different types of bombs that the player can use. So that's all on the second weapon wheel, and the player can access it with the push of a button.
Sounds more comfy for players to get into the action. This is the 4th game in the main installment. There are several questions regarding the story, what's about to happen. There has been a closure promised for Ezio's story. Will there be closure or answers to most of the questions regarding the end of the world thing, 2012, and Desmond's story?
No, Desmond's story is being left open for the next game, and same with the end of the world story. However, in trying to close Ezio's story and Altair's story, we're trying to answer as many questions about those characters as possible. We also will be answering questions about Desmond, some of the big ones that the players may have. It was really our mandate from the beginning that instead of creating an opus, an episode of the Ezio story that, or of Assassin's Creed, I guess, that raises more questions. We really wanted to answer questions for the fans, because we have a lot of very passionate fans that are just dying to know certain things. So we really wanted to give some answers to them. to thank them, and I guess for their passion for our game.
In past games, we had the ability to replay missions, to replay certain events, except in Assassin's Creed 2. Will this be an option in Revelations? Can we replay certain events?
Yes, for sure. Yes.
Okay.
Just like in Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, you'll have a menu with all your DNA, and so as you go through your memories, you can go back to a memory and replay it.
And I guess it's filled again with historical information about certain places and characters?
For sure, yeah. Whenever we make a game like this, we really comb over the history books to find characters that we can use, that the player can meet. And we also really want to represent the city very well, so we make big efforts to actually have the city reproduced as close as we can to that time period. And of course, as you're wandering around, you'll have little pop-ups that will give you more information for those people that are more bookish and want to read more about the places that they're seeing. And again, some of the main characters that Ezio will be running into are some very important characters in Turkish or Ottoman history.
So it must have taken a long time to gather all that information, because history is extremely rich.
Yeah, I mean, we had a lot of people, because once everybody gets on a team, they tend to be pretty crazy about that, and they start digging. It doesn't take a huge amount of time. I mean, you would say that pre-production takes, I wouldn't call it pre-production, but sort of the study period would take about a month, and people are reading and exchanging information, and you've got, 10, 20, 30 people that are all discussing the story and discussing the city and deciding what to do and where to go. Emails flying around about this and that. It doesn't. It takes a bit of time to collect the information, to find out where you can find the information, but with everybody working towards the same goal, you quickly get an idea of what you want to do. Plus, we're dealing with a very, very small snapshot of history. It's 1511 in Constantinople, so we can really zero in on that detail and then just forget everything else. We're not, aside from knowing that the Byzantines fell in 50 years before that, we don't need to know in detail how that happened, because it's not really dealt with in our game.
Let's wrap things up. The game is out due November. I suggest you may suggest everyone to buy.
Yeah, everybody go out and buy Assassin's Creed Revelations, out November 15th on Xbox 360 and PS3, and a little later on PC. I unfortunately don't have the dates for that, so I'll get them.
Okay, thanks for the interview. Thank you a lot.
Thank you very much.
I'll see you soon.
See you soon.